Hi, Donna. Welcome to the show today. I am so excited to have you here.
I really love the fact that you reached out. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's afternoon on a Friday, so I've got my Wild One dry hard ginger beer right here with me, which is the SKU that won the Shelfie Award. So, I'm a huge fan already. I cannot wait to try the other flavors, and I'll keep everyone updated. I love ginger just in general, and so I love ginger beer and getting to try your product. I'm like, this is everything I ever wanted ginger beer to be. Like, you figured it out. So it's such an honor to get to meet you and talk more with you. So, how are you doing? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks again. Yeah, I'm Ace. Can't complain. Getting excited for the holiday season. And we're just about to release our new seasonal as well, and things are all right.
Awesome. Well, if you could start out, tell us a little bit about the products and then we'll talk about, the story.
Yeah, sure. So we're a California brand that crafts clean beverage alcohol. Our beverages are vibrant and aromatic and tasty and refreshing without any added sugars or sweeteners, and they're both ready to drink and ready to mix. And the way we looked at G's is that ginger beer is a $1.6 billion household category here in the United States. And it's lacked a bit of innovation in our opinion. And so we're looking at reinventing a familiar household category. And we are actually first to market with a line of ginger-based beverage alcohol where every can of G's is fermented to dry. And that means that there's no remaining sugars. We don't add any sugars or sweeteners, no erythritol or stevia, no artificial ingredients. Our 4.5% ABV cans are only 87 calories, and we choose organic first for our 100% real fruits, botanicals, and spices. Like I say, they're enchantingly aromatic. They're beautifully delicious. They're warming and ginger at the back of the palate, and they just make you feel good.
Yeah. Oh, they really do. And tell us about the seasonal, which I'm so excited to try, but yeah, tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, so the seasonal is called toddy. It is a play on the hot toddy. So it's fermented with ginger, lemon, cinnamon, and honey. And we utilize this magic of fermentation where sugar converts to alcohol. And the awesome thing about that is that you still get these wonderful aromatics and flavor profiles of all of these real ingredients, but without the sugars. So the honey, for instance, you'll smell the honeysuckle. You'll taste the honey itself, but without the sweetness of the honey. And so all of our ginger beers that are fermented dry includes the honey as well. And so it's kind of like getting your cake and eating it all at the same time because you get all of the flavor, the real ingredients, the vibrancy, the aromatics, but it doesn't come with the sugar. So it really is the magic of fermentation. And it's got the warm, like the cinnamon and the ginger have this wonderful way of like intertwining. So you know that you've got both of these sort of warming and spice characteristics. You almost don't know where one ends and the other starts, and they're both warming, but they're both really delightful on the palate and their sort of their memorability and the length. The lemon just gives it a little bit of that lift that you're looking for, and it just all comes together. And I love mixing it with a rye or a bourbon to truly make it like a play on the toddy. But yeah, really thrilled with the way it turned out. We used a local California honey in that in the blend as well. So yeah, it's exciting to see it come to market.
Amazing. Well, yeah, I would love if you could share with us some of the story behind, why did you start G's Hard Ginger Beer? Like, yeah, tell us more about the origins.
Yeah, sure. So obviously, I'm not from the United States. I'm Australian. I felt particularly down under this morning. That's why I wore my Australian t-shirt. I moved to California in 2013, and in 2014, I started dry farming a small block of grapevines organically by hand and making a restrained style wine. And it was farming the land that really opened my eyes to what it means to care for the land and work with real ingredients, and winemaking that piqued my interest on the nutritious side of fermentation. I specifically started fermenting ginger for my own gut health. I forage locally where we live here in the North Bay in Napa Valley in California, and everything grows so wonderfully, abundantly here as well, that I was combining foraged and seasonal ingredients in these ginger fermentations. And I was just blown away at the quality of the beverage, reminiscent of enjoying a glass of wine, where You pour the glass, the aromatics come out, they enliven the senses. You get that mouthfeel, that palate, that taste, and then there's a length and a structure in the palate. And that was completely reminiscent. And I was like, oh wow, no remaining sugar and only real ingredients. And then the Australian in me was like, well, why isn't there any alcohol in these clean and tasty beverages? And that's where I saw a really wonderful opportunity to bring a compelling new beverage to market and create a better for you category, whilst being an elevating mixer for cocktails. And so that's kind of how it all got underway.
That's amazing. And you were mentioning to me before we started recording that the art is has a specific inspiration. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm incredibly inspired by poster art, vintage poster art, be it food and beverage, music, movie, and I especially love live music. And every time I go to a gig, or I will collect the poster from that gig, most notably Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder, and it's taken on all this poster art has taken on influence for me for our labels. So our labels all take on a theme of vintage poster art. Our latest toddy, which I have here, is influenced by vintage ski posters.
Mhm.
Wild one that you've got in your hands is influenced by a vintage Tahoe poster.
Mhm.
Um, we've got Sunny Vibes, which is passion fruit, orange, and sea salt. That's been influenced by vintage posters from surf posters from Hawaii and Australia. All Day, which is really like a backyard scene, mid-century poolside. So they all have some level of influence. Stormy that we did last year is influenced off of a Pearl Jam touring poster. So yeah, it's fun, it's exciting, it's passion, it's what I love, and it just gives another level of like it's a bit more intimate in some ways. It gives a little like additional life.
Yeah, it's amazing. I really love the branding and the art. It's just gorgeous. So I was so excited when you told me the vintage poster connection, and oh, it's just so cool. It makes you feel so excited before you've even cracked open the can and taken a sip, and it kind of sets the tone and the mood. And so I love that extra element because sometimes you'll see like ginger beer, the kind of commodity version will just be like the world's most boring can or whatever, and you just you don't even look at it. You stop looking at it because it's not interesting in any way. And this is incredible. So I really love that.
Yeah, it's all part of the innovation. Innovation for me has been around product and ingredients and quality, but it's also around the packaging and the feel and the look and feeling like you have a connection in some way, shape, or form. And so yeah, it's an exciting time to be in this part of the fastest growing beverage alcohol segment of ready to drink, and especially in this sort of better for you beverage alcohol space. It's a hot part of the business to be in right now, and I'm just I will say not necessarily the coolest kid on the block 4 years ago with this type of beverage and fermentation, but I love it, and I continue to do all my own R&D and product development here in my kitchen, and translate it to scale, and it's just really exciting to work, to hear what people love about it and why they love it, and to work on new things, and become a compelling brand.
Yeah. And it sounds, how long did it take you to like figure out the right balance of like creating an alcohol version of the product? Like what did it look like to figure out like, the right mix of everything? Was it you experimenting at home in the kitchen? Like how long did that take to find to just like nail it?
It was 17 months of full-time R&D and startup between kind of idea and getting some of these fermentations underway, to my first commercial production. And it was really around dialing it in and trial and error. And I don't come from a beverage background or a CPG background, so I literally was, starting from scratch. And I had bottle explosions as I'm figuring out what, carbon, like what bottle conditioning means. And, you just had to literally go through all of that. And my biggest learning, my first commercial brew, I didn't even know that raw ingredients didn't scale linear. Like that's how much of a learning curve I was in. And so when I went and put our first brew to tank, I scaled everything linear. There was so much ginger in there. It was like it almost blew my head off. It's like, wow, yes, raw ingredients don't scale linear. Seems so silly now, but at the time, I'm like, I didn't know.
Yeah. How would you know until you try?
Yeah, exactly. So it was fun, things like that. But it was a long process. You know, beverage alcohol is another layer of complexity with the laws and the compliance, and finding a brewer that that was open to doing something unorthodox in the craft world. And this is pre hard seltzer boom and pre specialty beverage alcohol really sort of taking a bit more of a front row, and so there was a lot to navigate, but it's all been pretty exciting along the way, and I'm grateful to have obviously had some people and communities that have helped support, and especially Startup CPG. And so it's not lost on me. It's very meaningful.
That's awesome. How did you find Startup CPG?
Yeah, I actually met Daniel at a Naturally Bay Area event,
Oh,
and
that's
that was how,
amazing.
yeah, when he was still living here,
Y-
obviously, and it was
Yeah.
just before COVID, like 2 months, maybe 3 months. Yeah,
Yeah. So you've been in you're kind of an OG member then. That's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it was great, and he was telling me what he was doing and his vision, and I'm just like, wow, this is really cool. It's like, yeah, this community needs more, innovators at his level, what he's doing, and the leadership of what he was doing, and the way that Startup CPG has brought the CPG community together online during COVID, and now bringing people together again in the real world. It's inspiring, and it's a wonderful opportunity for people across all levels of the CPG world.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And I'm also curious since I'm not as familiar with alcoholic beverages. I'm curious if you could share a little bit about some of the challenges specific to that as far as like regulations that you face with either shipping or, getting into stores. Like I'm curious about how that works.
Yeah, so the ABC, which is the Alcohol Beverage Control, which is part of the TTB, which is a federal body, they have laws and governance that is state by state. And so what we're allowed to do here in California might be different from what's allowed in other states. And so then there's complexities across borders as well. And you need licenses to be able to play in every state, and they all have different things. But what is the most kind of governing is this three-tier system, which basically says that I, as a beverage alcohol supplier, must go through a distributor to sell to a retailer who then sells to a consumer. And so there are these, you have to go through this. California works a little bit differently in that I can sell to a retailer as a supplier, but most states can't even sell a supplier direct to a retailer. They have to go through the distributor. And so you're working with some of those complexities. You're also working with some complexities of with certain licenses, you can't sell direct to a consumer. And, so there's a lot of nuances there and a lot of compliance there. And it's a regulatory risk that I must admit that I was not completely, aware of going into this project. But it's a different path. It's a different lane that you're dealing with versus a straight CPG and food and beverage that's non-alcoholic. And I say to my mates in Australia, I'm like, when it comes to alcohol, there is nothing united about the states of America. It really is a very complex system. It's a legacy of post-prohibition, and it involves a lot of money to understand how to, be compliant and stay compliant and deal with all these licensing. So everyone's got their challenges. Doesn't matter if it's alcohol, not alcohol, food, beverage, frozen, supply, whatever it is. And this is one of ours.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that sounds definitely tricky to navigate. I'm also like, are there any other stories that stand out to you from building this so far that, have stuck with you?
Um, yeah, stories, not personal. I mean, been a lot of learnings along the way. We go, oh, wow, that makes sense now, and um, just experiences of, like I say, like going through needing to figure out that like things explode if you don't, and that's more the sort of learnings, and I would say that, trying to surround ourselves with good people. That's what it's mostly about. And I'm a big believer that it's not about who gets the biggest slice of the pie. It's about how we can all make our pies bigger. And I think we can. And I love hearing about other people's journeys and stories and hopefully learning from that and equally passing some of those learnings along. And so, yeah, a specific story doesn't come to mind other than just some anecdotal things of, I guess, learnings.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's great. And you basically just embodied the whole spirit of Startup CPG there, talking about that, that we're all on the same team. We're all working toward better products, better food systems. And that's why I love this industry compared to other industries I've worked in, is everyone seems so much more ready to collaborate and talk and how do we work together, even though you may even be direct competitors, but we're all wanting to share and work together. And I love that spirit, and that's why I love Startup CPG, because I just think members like yourself, you see it all the time where we're all working together, and it's very team focused, and I like that versus the competitive cards close to the chest kind of attitude where it's stressful being like, oh, can I share this, or or that person won't talk to me or whatever. And of course there's always going to be a little bit of that, but there's generally just the spirit of the industry and of Startup CPG is so cool to be a part of.
Yeah, it really is. And nobody wins when you're all kind of just super competitive like that and not looking out for each other. And that's the part of what I've loved as well about being amongst this community. And there's still some isolating times where you, as a sole founder, where you're just like, wow, I didn't think it was necessarily going to be this hard all the time. But like then the Australian in me is like, you know what, shit shouldn't be so hard, and just like take a deep breath and you find and navigate your way through, and then you put your hand up or you ask someone amongst the community, and people are willing to help and they are gracious with their time, as time constrained as we all are. People are still gracious with their time, and that's always, it's just warming. It's heartwarming to know that that's generally how the community feels.
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, what should we be looking out for in 2023 for G's? And then also, like, what's top of mind for you as well?
Yeah, so for us, next year we'll have more innovation and bring some other cool seasonals into the market. Um, uh, that's probably the most sort of, every season we like to do something different and exciting, and innovative, and we get some really great feedback from that. So that's cool. And for us, this is still an education, and it's educating people around what fermentation is and how sugar does convert to alcohol, and how you can have and work with real ingredients. And when we look at the ginger beers that are in the market right now, and they range between, for a 12-ounce can, they range between 20 and 30 grams of sugar per can. That's 8 to 10 cubes of sugar. And it's really it's like educating people to say you can have a flavorful and really quality beverage and or cocktail experience and occasion and enjoy it without having all of the crap in it. And so we're really keen on educating people more, and it's not so much educating like, oh my God, we're the experts and we're telling you. It's like, hey, we want to be transparent and let you know what we're doing and how we're doing it, and help you understand that there are better and cleaner options if you would like them. You can, they're out there, whether they're our beverage or other people's products. And how to do that is still challenging, and as a small brand that's trying to scale and build, and but that's key for us, and we just love people reaching out and asking us questions and wanting to engage, and we're here for that as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's that's super awesome. And where do you plan, are you focused on expanding in a lot of different channels, or what does it look like? Are you focusing on like a certain part of natural retail or specialty alcohol? What does that look like getting the product on shelves? Where are you focusing?
Yeah, the go to market strategy has, out of the gates for me as, the sole founder aspect of it was very much into the independent retail, the better for you, the natural chains and grocers. And we do over index in that world, and we want to saturate that more now. We're concentrating our efforts on saturating the California market before we look to, broaden ourselves and go, we don't want to spread ourselves too thin too fast. Um, and there's a lot of this market to still saturate. We're now seeing this crossover from independent retail into chain, as consumers are now looking for more quality over quantity. We are in Target stores in California, in Northern California, and we're just onboarding with Safeway now as well. So it's really interesting to see that the consumer demand for better for you is crossing over from independent retail into this sort of more conventional and chain. And so we're gonna, we'll be looking down to growing both of those paths, and to, hopefully scale through those relationships and partnerships. And so yeah, that's pretty much what's on the cards, for us, and being at loads of festivals and demos, and liquid to lips is a thing, and we know we can convert consumers. We know, like, we've had so many people that taste our beverages and go, oh my god, I didn't realize that like a ginger beverage could taste like that. Like how, like, really, there's no sugar and nothing artificial. Wow, like. And so the more engagement we can have, that's what we want to spend more time and getting as close to the consumer as possible.
Yeah, that's incredible. And that's so cool to have the Targets and Safeways of the world too, of like getting into those other channels. Oh, that's so exciting. And I know like I'm just to be able to see a product like this available at those kind of stores, like, oh, I mean, that's so exciting because this is what I'm looking for as a consumer, is this kind of innovation. And so that's so cool.
It just gives me the goosebumps too, because none of this is lost on me. I'm so humbly proud, to see how this is. And it's, as we all know, it's hard. It's hard to be an entrepreneur and a founder. It's hard to unlock the keys to these next levels of what this growth looks like. And we're still super early stage, but it's just exciting to know that there's so much opportunity and possibility, and people are open to it and they're responding to it. We want to listen and grow with with what that is. I mean, we're all consumers ourselves too, right? And so to walk into a Target and see a big stack display or in a shelf, it's like, oh my God, wow, I did that. I did that. Like it's really very cool. And it's
Yeah.
not lost on me. And having those opportunities to grow with some of these chains is it's I'm just it sometimes it feels like the little red engine that can is just chuffing away pretty happily right now.
That's
But a
amazing.
long, long way to go. We're just scratching the surface, and that's where that's where I keep my feet on the ground and nurture the relationships that I very much value.
Yeah. Well, where can people follow along and find you? What's your website, maybe social media handle to make sure that people can keep up with the news?
Yeah, cool. Thank you. It's we're at GS Ginger Beer, so G for Ginger, S for Sam. GS Ginger Beer is our Instagram handle, and gsgingerbeer.com is our website. I am open to people reaching out to me direct. I'm Donna at GS Ginger Beer, Donna, that is. And so yeah, with pleasure. Please do reach out and um, uh, check us out and follow along, and look for us or ask us where you can find G's and get it into your hands.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It was so
Oh,
wonderful to
good.
get to
Thank you.
hear more. Oh my gosh. And I will keep everyone posted getting to try your other flavors, but I'm serious. I'm a huge fan. I just think your product's incredible. I love what you're doing and just really can't wait to keep following along and cheer you on. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesse. That's really sweet of me. Thank you.